What's your advice to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky this morning? If he's listening, what do you think he should do?
Well, John, it's good to be with you. I've also seen recent polling that shows the American people by 80% still distrust Putin, right? They know that he is a bad guy. So I think we need to be careful on how we approach these polls. Look, what happened in the Oval Office the other day was reprehensible, right? Because we watched the president and the vice president bully President Zelensky, who has always said that he appreciates American support. I was part of that meeting that took place just before his meeting with the president, with other senators. And he, again, bent over backwards to talk about how grateful he was to the United States. So, look, if I'm President Zelensky right now, number one, I need to continue to solidify my support in Europe because I will tell you, John, right now, Donald Trump, President Trump, does look like he's very much in Putin's camp. I didn't think we would see the day when we had the Russians openly gloating as they are today and the day before about the Trump administration's position, saying, wow, the Americans accept our vision. Well, that vision is one of continuing aggression against the people of Ukraine and their continuing efforts to be an autocratic regime. So if you're Zelensky, you are in a tough spot. He was willing to sign the most recent version of the minerals agreement. And if the Trump administration wants to proceed, I'm sure he's willing to proceed, excuse me, as well.
Look, you noted that Russia is gleeful this morning, and they are celebrating what happened in the Oval Office. What do you think happens if this trend continues? Where does this go?
Well, it trends in a very dangerous direction, meaning that our friends and allies in Europe and other places around the world will see that we're just totally unreliable. And who knows what will happen when NATO, if it splinters. I mean, you have Elon Musk out there, calling for the end of NATO. So what we're watching, in my view, is a big realignment. You have President Trump, who no longer believes that the United States is the leader when it comes to defending and promoting freedom and the rule of law and democracy. However imperfectly we've done that, he is discarding that whole paradigm. He sees himself more like Putin or Xi as this strong man who is going to abandon our friends whenever he thinks it's in his personal interests. In my view, that's not America first. That is America in retreat.
And again, I know you voted to confirm former Senator Marco Rubio, your former colleague, as Secretary of State. If you can still hear me, I see you adjusting your earpiece. How do you feel about your vote to confirm Senator Rubio as Secretary now?
Well, I regret that vote because, when it was Senator Rubio was somebody who understood that Putin was the aggressor and the Russians were the aggressor. He didn't go around calling Zelensky a dictator. But it seems like he's had a total lobotomy or heart transplant. I don't know what it is. But first of all, he allowed Elon Musk essentially to take over the operations of the State Department. We saw how they're trying to dismantle AID. That was an Elon Musk initiative. And now he is just parroting Donald Trump. Now, if that's why he took on the job, just to do the dear leader thing with Donald Trump, then I'm extremely disappointed. But that seems to be the direction that he's headed.
Are you going to go to the president's address to Congress tomorrow night? Will you be in attendance?
I decided to attend, but bring a guest. This is the head of Democracy Forward, Skye Perryman. They're the organization that has successfully brought a number of these lawsuits against the law-breaking spree by Musk and Trump. They brought one of the suits to stop the effort to illegally freeze, appropriations, monies that Congress had already approved of for all sorts of local priorities, as well as one of the lawsuits with respect to protecting federal employees against these illegal firings, where the administration is just lying when they send out these letters saying that people are being fired for poor performance, when we see that their most recent reviews are glowing reports. So these are just lies, John. In any event, I'm going to bring her as my guest, as a symbol of our efforts to block the illegal actions of Trump and Musk.
And I know later today you're going to be demonstrating outside NOAA. We just had an official who had been fired from NOAA last week, who I think will be there as well. Why are you attending that demonstration?
Well, for two reasons. Number one, I think it's important to show solidarity with all the patriotic federal employees who do good work on behalf of the American people. But the other is to help get the word out and build momentum around the country where people are really getting more and more upset about what's happening, and for a good reason. I mean, at NOAA, for example, what they're doing will make us less safe, right? They're provide all the information from the National Weather Service. They're our eyes and our ears for hurricanes and tsunamis. And if you blind yourself or you plug your ears, bad things happen. People get hurt. People can die. So we're getting that word out. You're seeing, John, these town halls across the country where Republican members of the House or the Senate are finally being confronted by angry constituents. And that's because those constituents are understanding exactly what the threat is right now. You've got Donald Trump, who promised to bring down prices. He promised to cut prices. Instead, he is cutting services that are important to every American, that help every American, National Weather Service being just one, and instead rigging the government to help people like Elon Musk, who, by the way, the other day just got another $1 billion contract from the FAA.
Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with us.
The Kremlin is now celebrating Friday's very contentious exchange of Ukraine's leader in the Oval Office and revealing, and I should say, and reveling in the confusion and the worry that has caused a lot among the U.S. allies.
Yeah, there's a lot of concern among the U.S. allies, and today Moscow is saying that Europe's emergency summit on Ukraine was not aimed at achieving peace, and that the U.S. is now coming into alignment with Russia. Those U.S. allies will be anxiously tuning in tomorrow as President Trump addresses a joint session of Congress. CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny is at the White House. Jeff, has there been any response to these new comments from the Kremlin saying that the U.S. is now coming into alignment with them?
Pamela, not direct response, but that certainly is hanging over the entire new week here at the White House. The Kremlin obviously was very pleased by what was happening on Friday. You could see that happening in real time as the meeting, the proposed deal, really blew up right in the Oval Office, which sent Europe scrambling over the weekend, and the White House also scrambling to make clear that they are the ones who have the upper hand. But that is a central question here. The idea of a deal being blown up, which was expected to be signed on Friday over the rare earths minerals with Ukraine, potentially leading to a peace process. With that off the table, the European leaders met all weekend long, and the White House now is saying that they welcome Europe's increased involvement in this. But the question that is unanswered this morning, and likely will be in the days ahead, is this going to potentially extend the war in Ukraine rather than retract it? Is this going to give Vladimir Putin more leverage to fight longer? So the White House is not responding directly to what Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin are saying. Of course, they're very sensitive to the glee from the Kremlin because that simply opens the door to criticism that they are aligned with them. But the White House this morning certainly is welcoming a Europeans' leaders' increased involvement in peacekeeping moves in Ukraine, Pam.
And Jeff, do you expect the president to address his evolving stance on Ukraine during his joint session of Congress tomorrow?
He absolutely will. I mean, look, he was expecting and hoping to announce a deal. You'll remember he campaigned. He said he could end the Ukraine war on the first day in office. Of course, that was not achieved, but he was hoping to announce a deal. Now that obviously isn't going to happen, but he is likely to talk about Ukraine, talk about America's strength, how Ukraine will not have a blank check going forward. But the central question is, Pamela, how is the response from Republicans going to be? This is still very much a divided issue inside the party in terms of how much assistance and aid the U.S. should give to Ukraine. We are seeing one of the biggest realignments in the world order in U.S. foreign policy in generations here. So the president, yes, will address this, but the question is this advancing the goal of reaching a peace deal? That is very much unclear, Pam.
All right, Jeff Zeleny, thank you so much.